Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today finally pull out the R9T again and make some progress on it. It's been a while, it's been probably 2 months since I got to work on it. This video, going to remove the wheel, brakes, forks, instrument display, handlebars, because I want to remove both clamps or triple trees, whatever you want to call it. I want to get both of these and of course this and this and everything silver. I want to get it analyzed, so I have to remove it first. And I will have a separate video opening the forks. I have to service them apparently. There's still oil in there somehow. You know, it's been dripping since I got it. But that's going to be another video, servicing the forks. For now, it's just taking it apart and putting it back together. As you can imagine, there are quite a couple of things, you know, to move out of the way. I will probably start removing this Torx down here that's holding the brake lines or the brake line distributor. Move this out of the way, then this will access or give me access to this hole here behind there, and I should be able to lift it with my pit bull stand from there. This way I got it off in the air and I can remove the wheel and the forks and it's gonna be fine. I was just going through, see what I have to pay attention. That's easy, you can just move this to the side. That's for the lamp. Headlamp's already gone. You have a couple of screws here, this is for the holder, and then you have the headlight assembly here, already off. A couple holder here and so on. We have some wires, some cables, some lines, so pay attention to that. You also have a steering damper here, and of course the brakes. Before taking the forks off, you have to take the brakes off. This side fairly easy. Other side we have a ABS sensor, have to remove that also, and then you're good to go. There it is, up on the pitbull paddock stand, and I cranked the front horn all the way up so I have more space. Then it's a little bit crooked. Usually would go lower, you don't have to raise it that high up. But since I work here and I fiddle around on there, I want to give myself the space. Now I'm going to start. We'll drop the wheel first. Nothing of this I've ever done before, so it's all new. Putting it together, of course, you will need the tightening torques and you know how to adjust the bearing. We get to that later. I'm going to remove the ABS sensor, the brake calipers, both sides. I will have to take the slider off, and then there will be a bolt in there. Wheel comes off. Then I will probably remove the handlebars, these 4 torques here. The caps come off, the handlebar comes off. I have to give it some slack somewhere somehow. So I want to actually lay to the back. Not sure if I have space for that. Probably remove, after the wheel, the forks first. I will crack these open here. I'm gonna put some tape around it so I don't damage it. Not this one, but this one is still new. Don't want to damage it. Tape it off, then crack it open. So it's easier later because it's still installed. Once it's out, the entire thing will spin. Not ideal. And then whatever clutter is left up here. So that ultimately I can get to this nice nut here. And underneath there, down there, that's where your steering head bearing lives. Now you just saw how easy it is to make these, you know, round, and I taped it off, but wouldn't really work like this. Best way to go straight on the metal. Other side already was a little bit rounded from someone before. This was me. That is what it is. Took this off. Going to now take the bottom end off. Wheel is out. You have to open, apparently for the 14 to 16 models pre-facelift, you only open the clamps on the right side, and then you can unscrew the 22 Allen to get the axle out. For the new models 17 and on, you also have to loosen the clamp on the left side. Here left side is literally just holding the nut. I put the axle sliders on again and that's it. Clean it and smear it later. Now I'm just gonna open the clamps on both triples. One here, two here. Then the forks come out. I already removed the little bracket for the ABS sensor. This thing, that's the bracket. Goes on like this, I guess. Corrosion, everything's bubbling up. It's one crap. Might as well just refinish it. So forks out, and then I'm gonna take the handlebar off. So as you saw with the right equipment, say 45 torques, that's to open the clamps. Power tool makes it easier, but it's not necessary. You also notice that the low one have washers, the top one doesn't, and one washer on the right side is missing. So I have to sort that out also. But now the forks are out, parked here. Service video on that with new springs and oil. That's the tensioner coming up soon also after this. Pretty certain they've never been serviced because they've been leaking like dogs forever. Just this video already have new drops down there. But in the meantime I want to get the foot powder coated. Now this is easy, just the clamps and the risers, and then I could call it a day, but I still want these little bastards also coated. Off we go, probably also 45 to take these out, and then I have to park this somewhere to the back. So I moved all the stuff out of the way. Now, last thing, usually you would be far more than done, but only because I want to color change these two pieces. If you just want to do the top, it's easy. You can buy them aftermarket, already black anodized. You just open here, remove it, put a new one on, you're done. You don't even have to remove the forks for that, but then you still have this bastard here in silver, and I don't want it. All or nothing, so almost there. Going to remove the steering damper. Have a new one anyway, and that's also silver to come out also. Going to open here, and then this one here. Then the steering damper is off, and this just going to be wiggle around. Then I can remove also this holder here. Front stand is off. Jack is underneath. Of course you want to rest it in one of the safety grooves. That only works like this because I have the rear paddock stand. That keeps the bike standing upright. That thing is so essential if you do any work on the bike. This one actually is optional. Unless you do your tires and you do them often, you don't really need it. But rear paddock stand is a must, lift is a must, and the bike is pretty stable actually on here. Now this also is more freely, and I can feel there's no play in the bearing, which is great. So open it up, slide it out, and get it ready for powder coating. When removing this nut here, you need a special tool, something like this. Get it on Amazon. That's in. Or you tried it, it's open. Now you can take it off. And as I take it off, this will come down. Okay.
3 weeks later.
Finally got the parts back from powder coating. Just spent some time cleaning up all the edges. They don't want any on there. And now I can finally put it back together. Probably going to assemble the forks first because the bike is still parked over there. Then I can use all these parts here, install it, put it back together, new seals, new rubbers for the top, and that's going to be on a separate video. And then going to install the triple trees. This is for your handlebars, side stand. We did that also, and also we did this is the right footrest and the brake. Left one is already done, and I like how it turned out, all black. To of course clean this a little bit here. Also I was already preparing to make this a tubeless conversion. Install that later also. That's the tube still here. And then the rear, I do that somewhere later. Going to jump forward with the forks done and install the triple tree. Now it's time to install the triple trees again, and then I can properly use my stand again. It's somewhat tricky. You put the lower stem. Of course, you have your bearings. You have to grease them with a lithium grease, white lithium grease it says. Bottom, top, you have, of course, here the bearings, top to bottom, securing ring, locking ring, the rubber washer, you need all of these. The little cap here, little spacer. That's the top race, I think it's called. It's all cleaned, of course. Have to grease it up again and put it together. So since I don't have the special tool, once it's all in, I will tighten the lower nut. The top nut here, the top one, is just to lock it, and this is just to secure it in place. The lower one is doing all the work. So you would tighten it. Spec says 40 Newton meter to set it, twist it a couple times, lock to lock, loosen it, and then tighten with 15. Since I don't have that, I just use a spanner. I tighten it till there's no more play. Then I tighten it a little bit more, move it back and forth, loosen it again, and again tighten it so there's no play in there and it can move freely. That is all. And these are of course the parts. Lower ways, I'm gonna clean it again. The coating got some dirt in there again. Grease it up, put the bearing on there. Same with the top one, and then this just goes through and sits on there. The seal is underneath, it's here, it's not on here. I'm not quite sure if you could see actually on the video, but I had a little problem here because you have this cap on top here, the chrome cap. That is to seal the grease in there. The same on the bottom. There's also a cap down here that is mounted on the stem here. And that was crooked. So this then didn't pull in. This was still hanging out, and also it wouldn't come high enough. Because you have all the good indicators here on the bumps on the stop, the steering stop, how high it should go, and it was only halfway there. So I knew something is off, and I always could hear when I go left to right like a grinding sound. Now there's nothing, it goes freely and fine. I had to take it off again, ding a little bit, back into shape, and then pull it in, and now it's fine. And then you just tighten this thing, 40 Newton meter, it's a good hand feel, and then wiggle left and right. Now it's nice, and you know, I can even wiggle it with my hand right now, just like this. That's how it should be. You loosen it again and you tighten it until it stops wiggling. There's no play in there. You can feel it when you wiggle, there's nothing. And give it like just a tiny smidge to tighten it, and that's it. Clean up a bit. In the meantime, we have these three parts. We have first the rubber ring. That is just to be a little bit compressed. And you have then the next bolt, nut, whatever. That's just to secure it. You just twist this thing on. So the lock nut, you just put it on hand tight until you start feeling it sitting against the rubber, and then you just tighten it a little bit further until it lines again, and you put this little lock on there. This collar, locker, whatever it's called. And that is actually locking the screws against each other so they don't turn. And that is it. Lower triple trees on. Spins freely, easy peasy. And now I can install the top. Just here. And you have this this nut and this wing. That of course goes on top of here to the stem. That's actually torqued with 100 Newton meter. Going to do this later once this thing is back down, and you also have to put a fork in to hold it, otherwise it just turns around. So this is good enough for now. I can still adjust it later once this thing is complete. Tightening, you first tighten the top to 38 Newton meter and then the bottom to 19. The center stem nut is tightened with 100 Newton meter. Bottom is tight, adjusted correctly, top is tight. Handlebar is tight. This will go up here and this one goes up here. And is held by another clamp that goes over here. Then I can of course put these already back into place here. These little clamp things here. That's one, and here's the other one. The right fork is already in because you have to put a fork in order to tighten your top yoke. You have 3 rings looking out. Oh, it's a little bit quicker. I'm gonna put the other one in, the left fork, and adjust both of them, and then you're gonna tighten the bottom one first, both 19, and then the top one 19, and then I'm gonna move to the bottom and the wheel assembly. You saw me going back and forth on each side. That's because it's a clamp and both screws affect each other and they influence each other. So you have to go back and forth until they're both at the 19 Newton meter settled. So and now I can also tighten these ones to 20 Newton meter. There's more silver. Let's try to hide it. There we go. This is the bracket for the ABS sensor and the cable. I was just trying to install it quickly, but I noticed it's completely bent out of shape, so it wouldn't go on. And I checked my recordings. When I took it off, it did not look like this. First of all, I noticed this is all cricket. This is completely bent in all directions. This should be the same plane as this back here, and this should actually be outside, so it clears. What happened? It's just supposed to be powder coated. Now it's all messed up. To show you what I mean, this part came off of here, and this pinions goes into this hole down here, and then these screws go on there. So you see, it's completely out of alignment. And you also see that the cable holder is impacting now and colliding with the fork here. Not sure what happened, but it did not look like this when I handed it over to coating. Pretty pissed about it. Now I have to, whatever, try to fix this without damaging the code, which is fantastic. After this, I'm gonna install the new steering damper because the old one is old and crusty and who knows, so I'm not leaving this in. So since this is a first gen R9T, you have a thread in here. This is the thread insert. You have a thread in here to squeeze it up with some NBU system-wide silicone grease. And I'm going to install the lower clamps already here and the clamp bolts. They will be tightened also with 19 pretty much most of them. Put some thread lock on, and I'm tightening these because I have to. Otherwise, when I install the axle and try to tighten it, just keeps spinning. For these older models, that's the process. You clamp your thread insert first, and then you can install your axle. Okay, insert tapped in place. I also installed the bracket already here to bend it like in all kind of directions. Brake calipers come on last. This is prepared. Axle comes on with the wheel, and then afterwards the shield comes on. Now let's just continue with the steering damper. So when installing again, pay attention, these rubber buffers, they have a little cutout on one of the sides. That's where it goes towards the ball joint. One below, one on top, and I'd say it's all 19 Newton meter most likely. Here Öhlins uses a different spacer, that's a larger spacer, but that's because this is a generic clamp, which just is somewhat symmetrical, versus the OEM was more towards the top side. If you have a plastic washer in there, then the spacer on the top, you tighten it, that's it. Setting wise, I'm going to tighten it all the way to full hard, and then I'm going to go 10 clicks back. So it's 18 clicks in total. I'm going to be riding mostly city, probably, maybe some canyons. Maybe I dialed it back a little more. It's a base setting all the way clockwise, and then 10 clicks counterclockwise. Of course, once in, you have to turn full lock left and right, while these screws here are pretty much loose. So this centers itself in the clamp here. Just make sure, otherwise you are limited. You know how far I can go. I'll just do this. Now it's all the way tight. For this Öhlins, probably for all of them. Clockwise, you increase the dampening. Counterclockwise, you reduce it. That's it. Steering damper is in. Dampener, whichever you want to call it. So just showing you what the tubeless conversion looks like. It is tricky. It is my second attempt. Never tried it before. And here I also made a little mistake, because instead of pushing it down from here, I went the other way, and then of course it's a little too long. So you have one cut here anyway, but now I have a second cut. My first attempt failed because the sticky layer had an overlap, because it was not perfectly straight. It was a little crooked. At a certain point you have to correct it, and then it just buckled in on itself, and that's where air passed through in the end, or where my Windex made it in. This here concerns me a little bit because there's a big air bubble in there. I just hope it's going to be pushed out through the valve, or it's going to be pushed out through the spoke here. At least I have full contact here. That's good. There are a bunch of videos showing you this. There are a bunch of videos showing you how to mount the tire. I'm not filming this because it's a pain. It's quite cold today. At least I have a little heater up there. Tire on, motor on. I want to also sand down the old one a little bit on this side, and then I can mount it and finish up here.
A few moments later.
So initially you will lose some pressure because the little bubbles you've seen, it just pushes it out still. But it should hold then. And this time it seems to be working. I just sprayed off all the nipples and no bubbles come out, which is good. I'm gonna check back again a little bit later. Maybe I'm gonna balance it first. But last time there was one spoke that was blowing bubbles, and then you messed up. So I hope this works this time, because I want to finish. And the rear one, I'm gonna do something later, either when I need a new tire or when I get a puncture. Once I have a reason to remove the tire, I'm gonna convert it on also. Until then it stays as it is. It's a lot of work and you have some uncertainty in it.
One nap later.
So the tire seems to hold air. Checked again, no bubbles out of the spoke nipples. That's as good as I can get it. It pretty much stands wherever I turn it, so that is statically balanced. This is a static balancing. You would never recommend that, but apparently for bikes that's what you do. For cars you always do dynamic balancing. You put on machine, it spins the wheel, and based on the forces the machine detects, it tells you where there is a imbalance and you fix that. Now I have a conflict here. The ABS ring touches the fork and apparently actually goes under the disc. So I have to loosen the screws again, redo all of that and put the ring underneath the disc. Well, we all make mistakes, right? It's just important that you catch your own mistakes before it's too late. So I was a little bit too generous with the paste. You don't need paste out here, but on the inside I would put some on there. Of course the inside of the axle and a smear on there so the seal is start running dry. Before tightening the axle bolt with 50 Newton meter, you have to install the brake pads to hold it in the end. And afterwards you tighten the clamp bolts with 19. This side already done, otherwise that nut wouldn't hold. But first I'm going to change my brake pads. It's already off anyway. First you remove the pin, this little security pin here. Then remove this T30, it's another pin. And then you can take out the spring and the pads. So I got new set. You put a little bit of copper paste, that's what Hay says on there. I'm going to use my BMW brake paste. This is going to be tightened with 6 Newton meter and the caliper bolts will be tightened with 38 Newton meter. And at the end, don't forget to put your brake lines, tighten them again down here. You have to remove them because otherwise you can't use the pitbull stand. So put a screw back in and then that's it. I'm gonna put the cover on. Also the keen observer probably noticed a different airplane back there. Just dropped it on in the meantime. Lines tight. Axle is torqued with 50 Newton meter. These are torqued with 19. Calipers torqued with 38. The top nut for the top yoke is 100 Newton meter. The ones underneath for the lower stem, of course, like I told you, have to have some feeling. I went over that. These are 20 on this bike and these are all 19. The sensor is just hand tied, just like, you know, use some feeling. It was 38 and also 19, but I mentioned it earlier in the video. That is all regarding torques. For the dampener, I just did it by feel. So for the fender, you have each side 2 long, 2 short screws. It is a T25. The long ones will mount the holder, the bracket, to the fork, and the short ones mount the fender. got the fender on. Lamp next. I'm waiting for one more part for the lamp, so I don't have to fiddle around with it anymore. All black is definitely the better way to go. I don't know why they don't do this factory, but it looks pretty dope. Now to finish off, you can see, but up here is a new instrument cluster, but that's going to be a separate video how to install that thing. Now just going to finish the front end. Something goes here. The headlight, of course. We have, of course, this piece also coated. We have these two noses that line up here. And for the T30 screws, I didn't find the Torx spec, but it would be fine. This part is actually smaller than the surface. So actually would have been better to coat this also, because now I have some silver showing. And that is the part of the bike that is the hardest to coat, because you have to remove the entire thing. From the top you can see it's fine, at the bottom you can see all the work to remove this clamp. And now there's a little piece that is still silver. The annoyance is almost immeasurable. There's no Torx spec for this. I'm gonna go with tight, but not too tight. And I put some thread lock on there, that's good. The headlight will be of course here, but this part here you can see there's still silver showing. I could just spray it, but you have to like mask everything off, or just take a brush and just brush some on there. Not ideal, but just to coat this, to hide this a little bit, I actually may do that, because this bothers me already now. You saw I just painted a little piece black, just a small piece that would show. Now it's covered, you can see it, doesn't have to be perfect, just don't want the silver on there. While this is drying, headlight. This is of course already taken off. I'm going to show you in a moment how to put it on. And you also notice that usually this is silver and this is matte black. I had it both done in gloss black. That's just what I want to go with here. Usually people just make this ring from silver to matte black and call it a day. I went a step further, and going another step further, just got unit garage mesh. Looked really nice. Probably just some chicken wire, and it is just bent into shape. Call it a day. It is quite pricey for what it is, to be honest, but it is what it is. So you have a screw down here, Phillips head, just unscrew this, and then your ring comes off. And with that, also the headlight. It's one unit just clipped in here. Now probably have to take the ring off again to put the mesh in. So let's just take all these little clamps out here. There are clamps around it, and you just go and get them out. Let me take a look. You also have to take this out here, this little nugget, otherwise you'll be stuck. Once you take the clamps out, you can just turn it out and it should come out there, but the screw has to go anyway. Screw out. This nut comes out and this clamp comes out through here, still cut out. Then it goes in like this, and it just tensions. That's it. Now all these little clamps, I already took one out. It's just a little spring like this that will go in like this, and it's under tension of course, and you just have to spread it even more, and then it comes out. Later when you put it in, you get one in and just push the other side in. So it comes of course with the mesh, with a small cable tie instruction and a new screw. This is a Allen and one of those that looks a little different than the old one. It's definitely bigger. Okay, instruction says the zip tie is just as an installation help, and you will have to use the new hardware that they bought that they give you instead of the old one, probably because of a collision. Basically you just put it in, put the light back on, put the clips in, and then install it back together. That's what they show, how you use the new one. So basically it goes in here and blocks then, and that's why you have the new screw. It's pretty straightforward, it's really not complex. So I don't want to wait forever. This is dryish. Not important anyway. Now let's put the bracket on. For the basket, for those screws you don't need thread lock because these are self-locking nuts. 13mm T45. There you have it, front end completed, finished, mentioned. Only torque specs I don't have are for these. Use feeling, you screw into aluminum, don't go crazy, put some thread lock on there, you're gonna be fine. These ones, they lock themselves, no thread lock needed. You still have to adjust it. This mesh makes such a difference because before it would just be too clear. And since the entire bike is more or less black, that's a nice touch without it being bulky. I also like the shiny, it goes shiny tank, lamp, fender, and everything else is matte, including the new clock. Love it. This is looking nice and good. We have a couple things that are not black enough, in my opinion, yet. Will be in one of the other videos. I'm going to show you the badges. You noticed that one already is black. Headlamp done, gloss coat with unit garage. Headlight guard, I believe it's called, just a chicken wire mesh. LED lamps, everything powder coated black. That's the Coso DL4 from DK Design. New clock here. Remove the ugly, bulky, original one for the pre-facelift. There you have it. That is the front end done. Forks coming next video. Everything from the rear, the brakes, steering head bearings, handlebars, headlamp, the instrument cluster gonna be a separate video. That's it. Thanks for watching. And I hope you're gonna check out one or more of the other videos. A couple ones still coming on this one, but it starts to look the way I wanted it.